Welcome back to the Time for Heroes podcast. Right, welcome back to the podcast. This week's guest is Andrew Cushin, who is a singer-songwriter from Newcastle. He's only been gone. He's 23-year-old, yeah, now. Is that correct?
I am, mate. I'm 23. Thank you very much for having us on, by the way. It's going to be good. We'll have a laugh.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I do at the start, I like to kind of get back to what life is like for like a young Andrew Cushin, where he grew up and what things were like and how he started off.
Yeah. Okay, so I was brought up in the East End of Newcastle. I was always into football. Music didn't really interest me. I thought anybody who played the guitar at a young age was a little bit odd, to be honest. So yes, I just used to play football, kicking about, pinching clothes off people's shopping trolleys, just your typical council estate moron. I've just worked myself. And as I got a little bit older, we moved house to a little bit more of a quiet area, and because there was no bands kicking about, rather than sit and play on the fucking Xbox or something like that all day, I just decided to play the guitar. My dad always had a guitar lying around. I think he learnt it years prior. He could probably play fucking Wonderwall and that was about it. But but he always had a guitar lying around. So I just kind of picked it up and just became obsessed with it, I suppose is the right word. And then when I was about 16, and then a few months later, I've learned a couple of chords. I wrote my first song, but I was never never doing it because I had a love of music or anything like that. Obviously, I was interested in the guitar. And I, brought up on like Oasis and all that kind of stuff and Paul Weller. My dad was a big sort of Paul Weller fan. So I always knew of music, but I was always football for me. But I just started writing songs purely to pass the time. And so as I say, it was never a conscious thing of I'm going to write these songs and hopefully one day I can go out and perform them. That was just never I really, really wasn't arsed. I know that sounds terrible coming from somebody who now makes a living out of it. But the first song I ever written was it was Waiting for the Rain, which was the song that got us a record deal and the song that kickstarted that full career. And when I go back and I wrote that song, it was just to pass the time. Do you know what I mean? I really wasn't asked about any of it. And then as we kind of grew, so 18, so I've been playing the guitar for a couple of years, and then skint, didn't have any money. Me mum got us my first ever gig. It was a little covers gig, and then I think by gig number 2 or 3, Lee, who's now my manager, he came in. And he said that I had something, whatever that fucking something is. We're still yet to find out. And the ball started rolling from there. He sent some songs. He sent a demo to Noel, and then Noel put her in touch with the with the record label, and then we've been full time from then. So it's a bit of I say that story incredibly lethargic, and it's like not us and all that, but it is a pretty mental story, and I think one of the beautiful things of that story is it's different to everybody else's, and I think one of the things I've maybe got going for us a little bit is all of the best artists, all of the defining artists, they've all got their own individual story. Do you know what I mean? Not one of them made it the same as the next one. So obviously Oasis is the King Tut's thing. The Arctic Monkeys have got their own story. So I think everybody with the individual stories goes on to do pretty well. So hopefully, dare I say it, we could be one of them. But we'll see. Again, I didn't give a fuck about music till I was 18.
It's funny, man. It's amazing, really, like a whirlwind journey like that. I've seen a lot of people kind of say that you've been lucky throughout your career, but I see it a different way. Obviously, you might have had lucky situations, but you've had to have the talent and the hard work to kind of take these opportunities. So see, like gigging in Newcastle, obviously he says that you met Lee through that. Firstly, what was the music scene like in Newcastle then?
Great. It's not even that long ago, to be fair. Obviously, Sam, he's obviously doing his own thing now. He's fly, but there's been a lot of hype about. There was a lot of hype about him years ago, anyway, particularly in the northeast. Outside of him, I couldn't name another artist. I really couldn't. I thought the music scene, personally, I thought it was quite poor, to be honest.
I mean, the last I can kind of remember was maybe like Maximo Park and the Future Heads, and then
Yeah, but even then, that was 15, 20 years ago, wasn't it?
yeah,
If we're going back to when I got signed in 2018, it really was only Sam Fender. It maybe was a band called the Pale White as well. But yeah,
yeah, I might do.
that wasn't a great deal sort of coming out. Obviously now, 5 years down down the road, Sam's doing St. James's Park. I'm doing pretty well. There's loads of great up and coming bands. So it's definitely a city on a lot of people's lips now, I think, which is good. But yeah, I think the football side's got a big part to play in that. Obviously Sam doing so well's played a big part in it. Yeah, it's making Newcastle a trendy place again,
Yeah,
which
all seems to be
is
clicking
great.
into place at the once.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've said it in a few interviews. Like, I honestly think Newcastle in the next 5-10 years could be, dare I say it, like sort of Manchester was in the 90s. Do you know what I mean? Where we're producing the best football, the best music, the best looking people, best nightclubs, fucking everything. The world's greatest accent. So it's definitely becoming a much better music scene.
Obviously, so we touched on Lee as well, and I mean, you kind of pass that off. He kind of introduced you to Noel. How did Lee? What was the relationship with Lee and Noel?
Yeah, so fucking hell, I actually don't even know, to be truthfully honest. I know that Lee and Noel met each other years ago. They obviously stayed in touch. I knew Lee from coaching anyway, so I used to be a football coach when I was still playing and all that. And Lee was a coach at the same club. And in that gig that he came and watched us at, I think he had just left the club. And I was still there, but I hadn't seen him in ages anyway. And I knew he was a big Oasis fan. I didn't know that he had this sort of connection with Noel or anything like that. And I just texted him and said, "Listen, do you fancy come for a couple of pints? I'm playing this gig." And he went, "What do you mean fucking gig?" And I went, No, I'm singing." And he came down just to take the piss, really. And then obviously a voice of a Geordie angel and all that kind of stuff. He nearly fell off his chair. And then we started talking a little bit. Again, there was no talk of like managing or anything like that. And then a few weeks down the line, he sent that demo to Noel. Noel enjoyed the song, and then he said, I'd be interested in sort of getting involved a little bit. And to be fair, it's been one of the best relationships I think I've ever experienced in terms of like a sort of professional outfit, because me and Lee are mates as well, so I speak to some sort of musicians, and some of them are really good mates and all that, and they've had managers for years, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, well, I get a phone call on a Wednesday just to ask how things are going." Me and Lee, I'll ring him and we'll go watch a match together, or we'll go on the piss, or if something's going on, that we're a little bit annoyed about, then we can talk to each other. So it's been really good. We became really good friends out of it. But then we're both brand new to it, you know what I mean? So we're learning on the job. And it's gradually getting better. But like this American trip and a few other bits that we've got planned for the end of the year, and it's 2 nights at City Hall. I wouldn't have been able to do that without Lee, and Lee wouldn't have been able to do that without me. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're both getting the best out of each other, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So obviously, meeting Noel helped you record Where's My Family Gone? So how's that then in a studio with one of the most talented songwriters of our generation, you know what I mean? If not the most. How is that in a studio with somebody like that? You must need to pinch yourself.
Yeah, it was so we went and recorded in Rack in London, and he produced it. We had the High Flying Birds play on it. It was just, I can think back to it properly now, but at the time it was like I'd never really been in the studio before. If there's any musicians listening to this, I didn't even know how to play to a fucking click track. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was so naive, and it was such early doors. But having someone like Noel come in, and he's almost been a little bit of a mentor in the years by. But we've still got each other's numbers, and we've got a WhatsApp group, and he gives us advice, and so he's still always been great. He's still always been great. We're sharing a couple of festival bills with him this year as well, so it'll be good to see him. But in terms of that week recording, it was just surreal. It was surreal. But when I think back to it, that there was no arse slicking going on. There was no pestering about Oasis Pat or anything like that. I was asking him if he was watching the match on the weekend, and he was asking me if I had any siblings, and it was just like normal sort of patter. But then obviously you'd switch the amps on and play the guitar, or he'd done like the harmonies and stuff. And there was moments when like me and Lee would look at each other and go, "Fucking hell, we're doing something pretty special here." But it was great. It was an experience that shaped me musically, like sort of for the rest of my life. If I didn't go into that studio with Noel, I think I'd be 5 years behind in me sort of development now, because I just learned in what 1 week with him, I probably learned what I would have learned in 5 years on the road. Such a strong character, and obviously incredibly sort of talented bloke as well.
I read somewhere, obviously, like when you were recording this, and you were kind of saying, well, how am I going to replicate this live? And I think Noel said, well, you're going to need to get a band together. So how was that? How was that kind of finding a band?
Yeah, well, I'd always done that one man in the guitar thing. But like when I started, one of my big inspirations was probably Jake Bugg. But then people like sort of Bob Dylan and Neil Young as well. Anybody that could capture a crowd with one man in a guitar, I was fucking well into, So when I went into Where's My Family Gone, I was worried on how I was gonna, I kind of do a guitar solo and play rhythm guitar and drums at the same time, you know what I mean? So Noel suggested putting the band together. It was always going to have to happen anyway, but it was a tough one to find in the early days. I do have to say we've had a couple of changes. I've got a lineup now that I'm immensely proud of and pleased with. Everybody works well together, and they're all incredibly talented musicians, and they're all a little bit older than me as well. So I'm like the fucking Ben in the group. Although I am often the most mature, I do have to say. The drummer does need a hiding now and again, but it's great. So I found 2 of them live in Nottingham. One of them just lives down the road, and the other one is coming to America with me, Rich. He's a keyboard player, and he lives in Chester-Lee Street, but he's like 35, 32. Right. He's probably gonna hate us saying that. I think he's only 31, but he's like the general of the band, so to speak. So like sound checks and all that. He's the one to high-root the dressing room and make sure we're on that stage. Lou, the drummer, he's mental. Tom's a great guitarist, and then Michael, who plays the bass. So it's great. It was a tough one to find them, but we all work well together, and we get on well with each other as well. Like if there's any bands watching this, they'll know how important it is. And I've got a background of playing football, so it's like that locker room sort of like camaraderie and all that kind of stuff. And it's so important to have that when you're on the road, especially if you're away. I'm away for 2 months. I'd only want to spend it with them lads. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be stuck with someone who's going to do your head in for 6 weeks or whatever. So having people that you can get along well with and have got similar interests and all that, I think is a really important thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few kind of similar acts at the moment, kind of gone the same way, like Jamie Webster, Louis Dunford down in London as well. I heard you were talking about Jamie Pollock in a podcast as well. Obviously, I had Jamie Pollock on one of my very early episodes, and he kind of went the other way, obviously, when Vida broke up, and then he went solo, but it didn't seem to work. It didn't seem to last, and now he's kind of disappeared from music entirely. So
yeah, he was. I think I've met him once. He's a great lad. We were going to do something with Vida in the early days, if I remember rightly, because I used to fucking love that band, and I love Jamie as well. Actually, I think he's a really good songwriter. He's a really nice guy. But it's funny. Listen, going back to what you said before, I think you need a lot of luck. You do need a lot of luck, and there is a lot of people out there that say that I've been immensely lucky and all that. But you made a good point. It's like luck will only get you so far. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, it was lucky that the guy who now manages is new Noel Gallagher, but it's not luck that he liked the fucking song, and it's not luck that he thought I was talented. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, no must get
Of
people
course.
hand
Listen,
them demos all the time. So
I'm just starting virtually, and I get fucking hundreds. Do you know what I mean? And my manager gets hundreds as well. So God knows what he must get, or God knows what people like that must get. So you can say it's look. Listen, you can blag your way into like a major record label's office. You can blag it sometimes, and we did in the start. We blagged our way into Virgin EMI completely. But when I sat down in front of the 15 people there and I had to perform for them, you kind of blag that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And then that's what they sign you off. They don't sign you off the look. So for anybody that says I've been immensely lucky, I'd agree to an extent, but I'd also like to back myself and think that I've got enough talent to try and do something, you know.
yeah. You take the chances, and you need to have the right mindset, and you need to have the full package to get there. Obviously, in these kind of 7 or 8 years, I mean, we've had like a couple of years of COVID pandemic stuff like that. How did that affect you? Do you think that helped in order to kind of?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was only just starting when that happened. So we just signed the deal. We'd done a gig. We'd done my first ever headline in Newcastle, a place called the Cluny, which is about 300 tickets, and that sold out in about 3 days or something like that. And I was like, fucking hell, we've just sold 300 tickets in Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? It was such a huge milestone, because we had never gigged in Newcastle. We hadn't even done a support slot there, apart from little pub gigs. So the fact that we built enough hype to sell that many tickets was amazing. So we'd just done that, and then I think I'd done a little mini tour. And then the lockdown came straight away. So it halted my development massively. I was just beginning to learn my craft and all that kind of stuff. But I recorded the song with Noel in the lockdown. And, you know, I fucking dare I say, I got into a little bit of modelling as well. And I started doing my whole fucking, blue steel. I started doing all my stupid smiles and all that kind of stuff. So I potted on with other bits. Listen, it's no coincidence that the people who have found a lot of success after lockdown are the people that worked all the way through it. So you look at bands like the Lathams, who were constantly doing like the lives, and they were doing online ticketed events, and they were posting on socials every day. And then you look at bands that done fuck all and sat on their arse, and the majority of them aren't even together anymore. So we were trying to just work as much as we can. So we were doing things with brands. I was writing a shitload. Obviously we'd done the stuff with Noel, which, aside from the recording, it gave with 3 months of social content, you know what I mean, of things to put on, which is such an important part of music now. So I didn't mind it as much as the next person, because I was constantly trying to work and write. And obviously, if it wasn't for lockdown, Noel probably wouldn't have had the time off to go and record a song for us. So because everybody was sat in the house, I was able to live one of my fucking dreams. So I thank those people.
So that tour you were talking about, is that the tour with the K's?
Yes, it was. Yeah. We done.
I'm trying to get them on. I think they're coming on shortly.
Yeah. The sound lads. He's a Toon fan, Jamie. He's a good lad. I've been to a few matches with his dad, but yeah, I think we done. In fact, I still remember them. We done Liverpool, Nottingham, in Glasgow, but the last song was in Liverpool, and I remember going into the crowd after the gig and standing watching the K's, and I was getting leathered. And there was a lad there who I knew anyway. He was in another band. And I went to go over and shake his hand, and he started doing like the elbow thing. Do you know when everyone used to touch elbows?
Yeah.
And it was just when people started getting a little bit freaked out by the whole COVID situation. And I remember looking at him, what the fuck are you doing? And he's going, no, it's COVID, mate. It's COVID. I'm not going to do a Scouse accent because I'll massively embarrass myself. But he's in fucking it's COVID, lads. It's COVID. And I was going, mate, man, fuck, what the hell's the matter with you? And he's going, mate, lockdown's coming. That was Harry, that, by the way. And and I think everyone thought he was just, off his head. And then obviously 2 days later, we were all stuck in the house. So it was mad. But it was just so sudden, wasn't it? It was so sudden. Yeah. I think it's obviously I'm only 23 now. I was only 21 when we were in lockdown. Probably 20 when it first started. It's something obviously that I've never experienced. But then it's stuff that like my mum, who's in her 40s, and like even like my nana and granddad and stuff, it was stuff that even they had never seen before. So I think it was just a new thing for everyone. So especially the first lockdown, nobody knew how to cope, did they? And then obviously by the second and the third, it was just kind of taking the piss a bit.
It was a bane in my life for that elbowing and stuff like that, man. That freaks me out.
It was a bit fucking odd, I do have to say. Like the whole masks thing done. I mean, there was people in my family who I'm now ashamed of because they were setting up. You know when everyone used to make their own masks,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd see people walking around and they'd have like fucking, I don't know, fucking Star Wars mask on, and then you'd have like a guitar mask on. And I think my nana had about 35 of them. She used to just buy them willy nilly. She had like a fucking Remembrance Day one, and then she'd have like a doing the dishes one, and then it was just, honestly, man, it was just ridiculous. People would sit and make money off making masks, and you think we shouldn't even be wearing them in the first place, you know?
No.
Ridiculous.
So then you signed to Pete Doherty's label, Strap Originals.
Yeah.
Pete Doherty, obviously, the name of the podcast, Time for Heroes, he's obviously, I'm a big fan of the Libertines. How was it signing for that label, and what's the differences between Strap Originals and obviously the deal with Virgin?
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, everybody who's in music, or even anybody with a little bit of sense will know that an independent label isn't going to have the financial gains that a major record label does because it's independent and it's major. So that was a big thing. So at first I was a bit worried that I might have to potentially go back to work. This was when I first got released. This was before I signed for Peter's label. And I made the decision, no, I'd just keep on gigging and making some money that way. So obviously work now is not an issue at all. But at the time that was a little bit worrying. But then we'd done a gig. It was the first gig out of lockdown. It was at the Riverside in Newcastle. And it was supporting Peter. And I was main support, but I remember he came up the stairs and there was another band on who he signed anyway. And we just had a little bit of a back and forth. It was just a little bit of a yap. And I was being your typical, just got out of lockdown on the piss, you know, missed me 21st and everything in the lockdown. So I was like, just pleased to be back out. So I was probably a little bit irate, a little bit spunky and jumping about. And we just kind of had a laugh. And then when I'd done the gig, I remember I was playing. And the story goes that I was playing, I think I was playing some tune. And Pete heard it from the dressing room and ran down the side of the stage and stood at the side of the stage to watch the rest of the gig. I was speaking to his manager and he said, apparently he sat there, man, who the fuck's this kid, and went down to see us. And I've turned to the side and I've seen him there and he's like clapping along and go on, son. It was great. And we've done 3 shows with him. First show, I was speaking to Jai, who owns the label, runs the label with sort of Peter. And he was like, yeah, you made a good impression. And by the second gig, it was like, fucking hell, yeah, you're good. And then by the third gig, it was like, yeah, we'd really like to sign you. So it was great. But I'd done a song with him on that tour as well. One of the positive differences between the two is I've got total control over everything. Yeah. So there's you know, and that's one of the things that sort of Peter said to me when we first signed. He was like, if you want to come to the label, you can release whatever you want. You know, you decide on your artwork. You're deciding on this. We're here purely to get the best out of your idea. Do you know what I mean? Whereas there's some labels that are like, they're there to make your idea. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got to get the best out of their idea. If that makes sense. That's a good way to turn it around. So I've got total freedom and control over everything. So for the album that we've just recorded, debut album, Waiting for the Rain, obviously, I chose all the songs. I think we had a little bit of back and forth on 1 or 2 of them, but you know, 90% of the songs on the record are the ones that I chose originally. I've chose the artwork. I got to work with a producer that I wanted to work with. I got to work where I wanted to work, when, you know, it was the dates that I chose. So I've got a lot of respect and a lot of admiration for Strap in that sense, that they gave us everything that I wanted. You know, it was. And then if it flops, then it's on my toes. You know what I mean? I can't blame anyone. But yeah, it's a great label to be on, and it's I've been on tour with Libertines and with Peter a few times, and Carl for that matter, and it's quite a family run unit. It really is. So we'll go on the sleeper buses and all that together. But you know, everybody. You know, and now you're going to meet Darren, who does the marketing PR, but he's also, you know, the driver for the bus. And it's, you know, everybody's, you know, sort of mucking in. It's great. It's a great thing to be involved in. It's a good project.
Yeah, it does seem that family way. I mean, I've seen videos them backstage, the Libertines and Trampoline together. And you'd look at it and think it was just one band.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Jack's been, because he was doing the Puta Madres stuff anyway. So Jack's been around sort of Peter for years, but he's great. He's a really, really nice lad. I've got a lot of love for that guy. A lot of love.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. Everyone just gets along. Everyone gets along so well, and he brings his dogs on tour.
That's the next question I was going to ask. How do you cope with the dogs? I've seen the video you playing your set, and the dog was walking around the stage.
Yeah, it was great. Bless him, man. He's got lush dogs, but there's this big cross thing. It looks like a fucking dinosaur, man. It's huge, and they call it Gladys. And I remember I'd done a gig with him in Liverpool, and I was going to join them for the next few shows after that. So we were jumping on the bus and that with him after the gig, and I remember the dog just like growling at us. I could tell it didn't like us, and I was absolutely shitting myself. Like, this dog's head's about the size of my waist. It's fucking muckle. So the dog's staring us down, and I'm going over to try and like think, right, I've got to spend sort of 3-4 days kind of sleeping beside this dog. I might as well let it get to know us. And I'm going to stroke it, and it's I'm thinking, fucking hell. In Peter's wife, she came over and started speaking French to the dog, and brought my face right over to the dog's face. It was like some kind of fucking, I don't know what the right word is, but it was like something that a fucking witch doctor would do. Do you know, like the old spells and all that, man? And then like the dog was like looking in my eyes, and she was like speaking French to the dog. And then after that, it's been like my best pal. It's mad. So it's the dogs are insane. They're so cool though, man. They're so cool. They're such friendly animals. Well, they are now.
So talking about kind of, obviously you said you wrote your first song at 16. What do you think? How has your writing style? Obviously, the subject matter at times can be quite dark. Obviously, so how do you go about writing these songs? Because obviously, the first song released on Strap Originals, like the EP, I Don't Belong, subject matter is quite dark, but it's more upbeat in terms of melody and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I only wrote that EP to shoot live anyway, because I thought we're going on stage, and I was playing You Don't Belong live, but nobody knew the words, so they jumped around to the indie riff, but I kind of wanted people singing it back. So I thought, right, I'm going to do an EP, an upbeat EP, and then that'll give us the license to go and do some more of the melancholy Noel Gallagher type stuff, which is what I was born to do. I fucking love writing that type of stuff. But yeah, the subject matters, I don't know, I pull a lot of it from personal experiences in people that's passed away, and I'll not divulge on that too much. But you know, if you listen to 4.5%, that's quite sort of self-explanatory. Do you know what I mean? It's like about my old man, and it's about alcohol addiction, and you know, the trauma and the and the pain that leaves behind for you know, not just the son but the daughter and the mother of your kids and all that kind of stuff. So everybody's affected. Mm-hmm. So I pull a lot of stuff from that kind of, you know, subject matter. And like You Don't Belong, you know, there is lines in there that are, you know, leaning towards someone taking their own life. And you know, like, do you think this is easy? What I'm pulling from my heart, you know, it's about finding it difficult to express how I'm feeling. Do you know what I mean? But then you stick an indie riff on it, and you get kids jumping around to it. Do you know what I mean? Which I think is there's no coincidence that song at the minute is being streamed the most compared to any of my other songs, and it's like it's night and day. We stream okay, right? There's people who stream worse, and there's a lot of people who stream a lot sort of better. But that song, streaming wise, does better than all of my other stuff, and it's because you've got a subject matter which is so harrowing, but then you've got an indie riff which kids can jump around to. Do you know what I mean? So you're playing on all of the sort of demographics. So I need to do more of that type of stuff.
It definitely turned me on to you. I mean, I was aware of you, and I like your music. I've been a fan of you for the start, but I think I seen you playing that on Soccer AM, and I thought that's totally different, and it's kind of taking it to the next level. So obviously, every time you release a song, obviously you're winning over more fans. Yeah, which is great, because there is bands out there, and I'm not going to name a few of them, but there's some people on there that are, you know, that
trying to change their sound and all that kind of stuff, and it doesn't work. So what I'm trying to do is, not necessarily change my sound or anything like that, but I always want to be seen as getting better. Do you know what I mean? So if the next single isn't as good, if not better than the previous single, then it's not going out. So like the single before You Don't Belong was Memories, which is a lot slower down, and again it's subject matter and all that kind of big anthemic song. So I thought, right, well, how can we add something to Memories to pick up more fans? You know what I mean? So it was a conscious decision, and then playing You Don't Belong, I think that's the only option for a sort of show like Sucker AM.
Yeah. Sort of, I mean, like, you've toured with the Kays, Sherlocks, Noel, Peter, even Paul Weller. So, I mean, again, you've only been gone 7-8 years, and to be sharing a stage with some of these legends, it must be mind blowing. But what have you got coming up next? Obviously, you've just brought out 4.5%. What's coming up next? Obviously, I know you're going away because this is the last day I've got to record with you.
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's it. I'm on that plane come 6 o'clock in the morning. But it's only been 5 years. It's only been 5 years I've been going for, so it's pretty insane.
Right.
In 2 of those years have been in lockdown as well. But yeah, listen, I've met so many of my heroes, so many of my idols. If I was to wake up tomorrow and my voice doesn't work anymore and I lost my hands and I couldn't play the guitar, I'd be content with what I've achieved so far. Do you know what I mean? I'm immensely grateful to everybody that supported us and yourself. People who've been here from day one, people who are just jumping on board now. I'm grateful to every one of them, because without those people, and it's such a cliche thing to say, every musician fucking says it, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. But it's such the truth, and if I can express a little bit of gratitude to everyone, then I absolutely will, whether it be on stage or doing podcasts like this. What is coming up next is I am going to America tomorrow for 2 months with Louis Tomlinson. So we're doing biggest shows I've ever done in my life. Again, so grateful to Louis' fans and Louis. He's a fucking dude. So we're doing like Hollywood Bowl in Forest Hill Stadium. It's just going to be insane. We're playing LA and Vegas and all over. So that's going to be ridiculous. When I get back, we've got another big thing to announce, which I can't say just yet. But that's going to take us somewhere else for another fair few weeks. And then when I get back from there, I've got my UK tour, so tickets on sale for that. So that's up and down the UK and Ireland. Finishing at the City Hall in Newcastle. The first night sold out. We're just working on the second one on the 16th of December. And then we've got an album coming out in September as well. Waiting for the Rain. That's going to be the debut album. Next year, it'll be more of the same. Loads of tours. I think I'm going to be recording the second record next year. And we're just going to keep on trying to build on, this little bit of momentum that we've kind of found myself coming across, I think we're gigging an awful lot. I'm working so hard. Everybody behind the scenes is working so hard. We're really, really trying to make this, turn into a good goer. And I think the key word for it's just graft, just keep on working hard and keep on pushing. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So for the next 18 months to 2 years, I'm just going to be non-stop, absolutely non-stop. Another record will be getting written, more gigs, more tours. Hopefully go back out the States next year as well, if we can pull in enough fans this year. But yeah, I think we're in a good place, and we just got to keep this momentum going, I think.
It seems to be the way to go, this as well. Obviously, like, you're going out on tour with Louis Tomlinson. Obviously, it's kind of a different style of music. My pals, Mark Sharp and the Bicycle Thieves, they're just back for a European tour with Lewis Capaldi. Again, totally different styles, but I mean, they all grew up together. Mark and the Snuts and Lewis all come from the same area, and they look out for each other and they take each other on these shows. But obviously the fans that Mark only won for going on tour with one of the biggest pop stars, and I'd imagine that's going to be the same for yourself. Will you notice, like, in the next 2 months, like, a kind of spike in new fans coming in?
If we do well, then 100%. I mean, we've done a gig in Shepherd's Bush Empire with Louis, and it was just it all started through that Soccer AM thing. Louis much Must Watch It every Saturday, and he's seen me performing on it, and he followed us on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Louis' fans are that dedicated that they even watch who he follows. So all it took was Louis to follow me on Twitter before I was tagged in hundreds and hundreds of things of who's this Andrew Cushin. Louis just followed, and it was pretty insane. You know, it was a mad day. And then when we got the Shepherd's Bush Empire gig, we played outstanding. I couldn't have been prouder of the boys that day. And the social increase was just fucking manic. It was just ridiculous. When we've announced this US tour, the socials have virtually doubled again. So there's absolutely no reason why if I do a good 2 month year, you know, we could see some serious increases. It's such a pain for me to say that that's such an integral part of music now, you know, because when you go back to my original heroes who were talking about at the start of this, Paul Weller and all that kind of stuff, it's like, you know, who cared about a fucking, you know, social media presence back in them days? I mean, there wasn't one. So it's such a shame now that it's such a big part of music, you know. But equal to that, you've just got to join them, haven't you? You've got to join the rest of them. So if I can get some serious numbers on there, who knows, it might increase ticket sales and all that kind of stuff. So it's all benefiting the greater cause of being a millionaire and owning a chimp and living out in LA.
Yeah, I mean, it does all seem to be fitting into place, obviously, off the back of this, and then the album coming out, and then the tour. I'm coming to see you in Glasgow. It'll be the first time I've seen you live, so I'm really looking forward to it, and it's a cracking venue, St. Luke's.
Yeah.
I've been there 3 or 4 times in the last couple of months, seen different acts, so it'll be perfect for you.
Yeah, mate.
Before.
Yeah.
So album out September, tour coming. Everybody that's watching this, buy tickets. I'll post all your socials and all that in the description. But if you want to tell people where they can get you as well, just
So it's andrewcushin.com, I think the website is. I don't know, I didn't fucking make it. But if you just Google my name, there will be somebody selling tickets. I'm sure there will be. The best way, because they're fucking not sold out.
Yeah. So last bit of the podcast, obviously, the podcast been called Time for Heroes. And I know I told you this at the start, just so you get a wee bit of time to think about it. Time for Heroes, we asked for 4 heroes to come for dinner. Why you consider them to be your heroes and what you would cook them?
Oh, Christ. Right, I'll cook them as well. Right, this is going to take a bit of thinking, innit? Let's go with Paul Gascoigne, because he's absolutely my hero. I love the epitome of you know, football and stardom. And obviously it's a tragic story as well. But I've always loved Gaza. Absolutely always loved Gaza. He's definitely a hero of mine. So I'd bring him probably for the stories. To have some fucking good stories.
Well. You couldn't have shot him up though.
Nah, but I quite like that though, because I talk a lot as well, so I could do with the rest, and then when he needs a rest, I'll take over, you know. So he'd have some good stories. I'd bring him. Who else would I bring? I'd probably have to bring Noel Gallagher. Just to fucking, I've never seen him pissed yet. I've never seen him pissed. Nah, he's seen me fucking hammered. We'd done a gig in Newcastle, and it was Rock and Roll Circus, and I got fucking leathered. And we played with him in Wales the night before as well. And he, I think he dedicated a song to us and everything. It was such a fucking special night. But the show in Newcastle, I was proper trolleyed, and nobody had any glasses. So I was walking around drinking beer out of a like a tea mug, like pouring pints into a tea mug. Just fucking shouting obscenities and just hammered. But yeah, I'd provide him because I like to see him pissed anyway. The other two. Let's have a think. My hero growing up, footballing hero, was Shea Given. Fucking hell. So he was my hero at Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to bring Shea Given. I met him for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't even fucking speak. it's ridiculous. I've met all my musical heroes, but then when I go and meet my footballing hero, I was like a teenage girl. I just froze at his feet.
It's a different thing, isn't it? The football, it's different.
It is. I went over and I was like, "You all right, mate?" And he was like talking away. And I couldn't bring myself to say, "Can I have a photo?" But you could see that I wanted one. So he'd done the gentleman thing. If he went, "Would you like a photo, son?" I was like, "Yes, please, thanks." So I'd bring him. I'd ask him to bring his gloves as well. We'd have a bit of a kickabout in the garden. So Shea Given, Noel Gallagher, Paul Gascoigne, and the last one, I'd want someone fit as fuck. I'm trying to think. I'd want a really fit actress, just someone to look at. Do you know what I mean? Just someone to look at. Emma Watson, something like that. bring someone like that. And what would I make them? I'm pretty good at cooking steaks, like so I could do some filet mignons and all that. I'd pretend that I know what I was doing, And you can drink a load of red wine when you're having steaks as well, and I do like some red wine. Yeah, so I'd say I'd cook some steaks, bring loads of red wine, have Gaza tell some football stories, get Noel pissed, have a game of kick-ups with Shea Given, and then try and get with Emma Watson, and then fuck off home.
It's a good bunch as well. I think they would all work well together as well.
Obviously, I think they would.
The Man City connection as well.
Yeah, that's it. You got the Man City connection. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Why not?
So, obviously, I mean, just before we go, obviously you mentioned a couple of footballers there, and Shea Given, obviously. Am I right in saying that that's the position that you played? Were you a goalkeeper?
Yeah. I was a keeper ever since watching him. I remember the first game we were playing. I think we were playing Stoke City at home, and I went with my father and I sat in the level 7 at St James's and just watching Shane, just how he was controlling his box. I thought I'm quite a loudmouth as well. I'd be pretty good at that. It was thanks to him.
A good boy as well. He started out at Celtic. He never played a game for us, but a good player. And that kind of leads into obviously the other man, Gascoigne. As much as he's a brilliant player, a brilliant talent, and all that, I can't warrant him for his Rangers connection.
For his Rangers connection, yeah. I should have asked that before we started the interview. I should have said if you're green or blue. But he's an absolute hero of mine, man. I think he's great. He's one of them, probably one of the few people that I'd really, really like to meet. Really like to meet him.
The other thing with that as well, how do you feel? Are you happy with the manager, Eddie Howe? Because obviously,
he's been ridiculous. He's been, listen, Eddie Howe has been Newcastle's greatest signing, or at least one of. He's in the top 3. Do you know what I mean? He's for all the flack that Newcastle got, and some of the Newcastle supporters gave as well, mind you, when we went in with Eddie Howe, because everyone either wanted Gerrard or they wanted Conte or someone like that. And he's absolutely worth his weight in gold. I think he's definitely earned his stripes. He won, he's kept winning the league, but then the fact that we've got a Champions League place, man. I mean, next season even, St James's Park is going to be an absolute fucking carnage nightclub. Fucking,
I can mind those nights.
Place. Yeah,
I mean, when I was younger, I used to have a soft spot for Newcastle. And I can mind the games against Barcelona when I was playing and all that.
Yeah, so, that's it, man.
It was brilliant for Newcastle. We had the nights back. Obviously, 2 years ago, as a Celtic fan, we spent about fucking 6 months chasing Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
And then ended up at yours, and we get our manager now. He's fucking away as well. We're doing this every 2 years, looking for a new manager.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mad thing. I'll tell you who else was one of my heroes when I was growing up. Joe Hart.
Right.
He's at you boys now, isn't he? I didn't realise how tall he was. I met him at we're doing this thing for one of Noel's guitars at Gibson in London, and we went in and lo and behold, Joe Hart was there, and he's a big fella, like, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's a big fella. But yeah, he was a big hero. He fell off the boil, didn't he? He fell off the boil big style.
Yeah, I mean he's done as a job up here, but I don't know going into next season. I don't know. I'd like somebody a bit better in goals now.
Yeah.
For making a stab at the Champions League next year, I'd like somebody a bit more reliable.
Yeah. Well, you had a great keeper when Fraser Forster was there.
Yeah, again,
You should never let him go.
We signed him 3 times, I think.
Yeah. Before you went to Southampton.
We signed him. Cracking big guy. Brilliant at saving penalties as well. We've kind of been blessed with good keepers throughout the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before that, we had Arthur Boric. He ended up at Bournemouth. We've had some good keepers.
But to be fair, we used to always have great keepers as well. But I used to always put it down to the fact that we used to be so poor, you know. So they used to get the most training. They'd end up making about fucking 15 saves a game.
What keepers did you rate? I can mind like Pavel Cernacek and
Big Pav. Pav was class. I didn't mind Tim Krul, to be fair. I thought Tim Krul was great. Obviously Shea Given was my hero. I thought Carl Darlow was okay when he played that season in the Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Nick Pope has been the best keeper that we've had since Shea. I mean, there's been a couple of poor ones as well, but I'll not bother naming them because just in case there's any of them watching.
Well, that's us, man. You gave us a good bit of time there, and obviously you get parting today and stuff like that for America.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's getting exciting now.
Yeah, I wish you all the best, man. I hope it's a blast for you, and I hope all goes well with the album coming out, and I'll see you in Glasgow. But pleasure having you on, Andrew.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
It's been good fun. It's been good fun. I'll speak to you again soon. Yeah, stay in touch.
I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod@gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google, and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.